Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today. Have you heard that saying, April showers bring May flowers? Well, I'm still waiting for those showers to come. I tell you, this weather we've been having, I'm so glad that everyone can join and we can do it virtually so we don't have to be outside. So, to begin, I'd like to thank our sponsors, the province of Alberta, who's working in partnership with the Government of Canada to bring us employment support programs and services. And also, I'd like to thank Compound XP. They are our technology providers, and they provide support and they do all of the magic behind the scene. And then, of course, the fabulous Talent Pool team. They make this event happen. So, a few notices before we begin. On June 8th will be our next event, and we're going to have a panel discussion with HR professionals to answer your job search questions. So bring your questions with you, or if you have something that you feel is important for us to discuss, you can certainly get in touch with Talent Pool and send us your ideas. I look forward to this panel discussion because things are changing so quickly now in job search. It's good to hear from people that are actually involved in the recruitment. A reminder that you can check out our past webinars on the Talent Pool Society's job, YouTube channel. And we will also be having a post-event survey, so you can keep your eye out for that link in the question and answer section. And those who complete it are entered to win an Amazon gift card. As previously mentioned, the Talent Pool has developed a very comprehensive mental health resource list. And so it is a list that has some great resources across the province. You can find it in the question and answer link and also on the Talent Pool webinar resource page. You can find it at talentpooljobfair.com. It's available for you to download. We're still in these trying times, and I think it's wonderful to know that the support is out there if you or anyone you know needs support. We'll be taking questions throughout the session. It's going to be more interactive, which I think is great, so we can focus on your needs. This is going to be a very interesting presentation. So if you have a question you'd like to participate in or share, put it in the question and answer section. We will receive your submission, but it won't be available for people to see on your screen. So once you type it in, don't worry. We can see it. We just want to protect everyone's privacy. So today's presentation is about how to manage your money so you can manage your life. Well, not really, but we're going to talk about how you can really kind of take control of things. And there is a link to the resources that are used today in the webinar link that you received. And so we will also be putting a link in the question and answer section. So let's get this show on the road. Our presenter today is Margaret Yu. She's a first connection with me on LinkedIn, and we share 252 connections. And according to Margaret's profile, she's an aspiring lawyer in Canada's Department of Justice with a criminal and social policy portfolio. And I feel like we all need to aspire to something. So Margaret, good for you to put that out there. And for now, she's a community advocate for poverty reduction who identifies gaps in social services, ensuring Calgary is a better city for all. I read an article about Margaret which shared that she is a lover of food. She has an interest in seeing her community thrive. And most importantly, she has a love for her family who've been supportive while she's pursuing her passions. Margaret understands that having a strong community and support system can prevent people from falling through the cracks. What she offers through the fabulous organization Momentum is financial knowledge and support. So I'm happy to have Margaret presenting today. So welcome, Margaret.
Thank you so much, Lynn. And I see that you've done a lot of sleuthing.
Research is important.
I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, good morning, everyone. As Lynn has mentioned, my name is Margaret Yu. I'm very excited to be here today. I am going to just orientate you to a few things. If I'm looking in this direction, it's where my camera is. If I'm peeking over in this direction, it's where the video is playing, and I can see Lynn, I can see my chats and so forth. So I'm not distracted. I'm still with you presently and fully the whole time. I just might be looking in two directions. I hope it is not too distracting. Without further ado, I am going to share my screen and I am going to select the PDF. I've selected it and I'm going to share it. I find that walking through everything just seems to help a little bit. All right. Lynn, can you confirm that you see my slide deck?
We do see your slide deck.
Perfect. Wonderful. So, I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina Nations, Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nations Region 3, and all the people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. Spanning generations and the acknowledgement of the land is traditional custom for Indigenous people when welcoming outsiders onto their land and into their homes. To build respectful relationships, acknowledging the land is an important part of reconciliation. It honors the authentic history of North America and its original people and tells the story of the creation of this country that has historically been missing. So here in this photo is a mural. When you come by Momentum, when you first enter, you'll see this beautiful mural at our front desk, and it is our work towards reconciliation. So today we're here to learn more about our assets. Assets are so important, and I see I've launched a poll, and there's answers there, which is so great. So I'm hoping by the end of today's session, you'll be able to define what an asset is, as well as review the 5 asset areas. Use the assets model to discover your assets that you already have. So taking an inventory, using this to solve a life challenges, and then creating a vision for your life 2 years from now. Also, setting a goal and identifying the assets that you can use to reach that goal. So, it's a very introspective workshop, meaning you'll be taking an inventory of where you're at today and where you're headed. And I recognize that some of the content may be challenging. So, I do invite you to take good care of yourself and debrief with these trusted mental health resources that is listed. So, the Distress Center of Calgary, Eastside Community Mental Health Services, Community Connect, the mental health helpline. And these have been shared with the presenters. So I hope that these have been sent out. If not, you're welcome to take a screen capture and yeah, use these wonderful resources. All right. So, as I've mentioned, I launched the poll. I do invite you to answer the poll, and I am going to publish it as well. So, I've asked, what is an asset? And the answers are a useful thing, a valuable person, a useful and valuable quality, and all the above. And absolutely, all the above. And it is a very useful thing. It is something we use throughout our lives, and we obtain, and they're different throughout different life stages. So we're here to discover all the assets. So, as mentioned, it's an advantage and it's a resource that you have. Assets are things we need to have a good life where you can take care of yourself and your family, reach your goals, and be strong when you face troubles. So some assets can be a home or money. Some assets can be easily touched or counted. And other assets is being internally motivated, speaking a second language, and those are more difficult to measure. And we have all sorts of assets. So in this workshop, we're going to focus on all your strength. So strength base in each of the areas, and it's important to acknowledge what you have and plan for the future so that you can take an inventory approach. And as mentioned, you do have more assets than we all realize. So, here are the five asset areas that we'll be discussing today. So, I'll start with the dark blue connections. So, connections are the relationships and networks you have in your personal and professional life. And then the purple one is the values, beliefs, personal qualities that you possess, such as confidence, motivation, creativity, and hope for the future. So that's sense of self. So, how you feel about yourself. Basic needs is in red, and this is the physical things that you need to survive and thrive, such as food and clothing, shelter and transportation, but also access to community services such as recreation and childcare. In the orange is the skills and knowledge. So it's represented by arrows and a head. So that's everything we have up here. So these are abilities that help you live, work, and participate in your community. Last but not least is money. And money is usually or finances an area that is takes the longest and hardest time to grow this area. So this can be money from work, family, government supports, along with your bank account, savings, and access to credit. And these are all your asset areas that you have in your life. So we'll dive into each area and we'll begin with basic needs. So all these assets are interconnected. They don't work independently, and we'll see it as a web coming together. So basic needs and services, as mentioned, is a need for everyday life and access to services in your community. And we talked a bit about some examples, but I like to define those a little bit more. So we talked about housing, so a place to live that is safe and right for you. So the location, as well as the size, utilities. Food and clothing is things that you need healthy food, a winter jacket in April, such as right now. Transportation is what you need to take you from location to location. And some examples can be public transit, a taxi, accessible transportation, owning your vehicle, or even a bicycle. Child and elder care is taking care of folks in your life, such as daycare or day homes, assisted living, in home supports. Recreation is ways to be active, practice hobbies, enjoy your activities and fun. Such recreation can be gym memberships, recreation programs, a park near your home, a community center. We're almost in the finish line of basic needs and services. It's information. So having access to a library card, internet, shopping centers near your home, doctors, hospitals, and other business supports. Last one is tools and equipment. These are tools needed for your work or for your hobbies, and these can be a computer, a laptop or tablet, workbooks, and a cell phone. So these are some examples, and I would invite you in your work module to list out your basic needs and services. So you will write your name at the center and around it what you are using currently for your basic needs and services. So that would be an inventory part. And the next step is what would you like to grow in terms of your basic needs and services? So I like to also invite folks to consider in the growth area that there's lots of information and resources out in fabulous Calgary. You can call 211. They're a great information place for community services, basic needs, or you can access them online by AB period 211.ca. Fair Entry is a great program. It's also synonymous with the low income bus pass, but it's more than just a low income bus pass. There's recreation, there's pet services, so definitely highly recommend them. Another really great library to check out is the Tool Library. This is when you can borrow tools at a low cost or via a membership. So really enjoy these places, and I definitely invite you to consider or put into the chat other places where you can keep accessing other resources or services in the community. So without further ado, I do want to launch a second poll. I'm just going to close this one and then launch another poll on basic needs and services, just a skill test. Okay, I'm going to publish it and then I'm going to show it on stage. So the question is examples of basic needs and services are utilities, banks, shopping, police, hospital, and library. True or false? I'll give you a few seconds to complete that. Okay, everyone had their morning coffee. Everyone's saying true. Great work, everyone. You should give yourself a pat on the back. Feel really good about that. All right, awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to close this poll and hide it from the stage. Wonderful, everyone. 100%. Let's move on to our next asset area. So we took a stroll down basic needs and services. We're going to skills and knowledge. And skills and knowledge is represented by a head with arrows going in. So skills and knowledge can be formal education. It could be lived experience. They're all very valuable. And there's six areas that I want to deconstruct with you today. So, the first one is the day to day skills. And these are things that you've learned to help you in everyday life, such as cooking, money management skills, speaking a different language, and using the transit system. Um, so for me, using transit is a struggle. I am very directionally challenged. So, knowing the directions northbound, southbound, I end up taking a different train to where I truly need to go. So, it is a definite day to day skill to get to where I need to go. But one day I'll challenge myself and get better with the transit system. The second area is the education and classes. So, education and training, you have going to school or taking courses or classes, and this could be certificate programs, high school, college or university, or trade school are examples of education and classes. The third area is physical and mental health skills. These are things you know. To know what to do to keep your body and your mind healthy, such as regular exercise, managing stress, keeping positive, and having a hopeful attitude. Employment and volunteering, the things you know and do to keep and find work, such as writing a resume, interviewing skills, teamwork, and conflict resolution. Our second last area is life skills, and these are things you know and do to manage your life, such as build on connections and solve problems. So, communication, organization, problem solving, and goal setting. Last area of skills and knowledge is social skills. These are things you know to do to meet new people and make connections, such as introducing yourself to others, asking for help, and knowing what to talk about in new situations. So, those are a small sample of some skills and knowledge. I invite you in your workbook to take an inventory of all the six areas of where you're at, as well as where you like to grow. Um, in one of the areas of the six to again have a roadmap of where you like to develop. Think about, is there a skill or some new knowledge that you would like to develop? How can you learn it? And think about where you would go or where you would need to connect to develop this. And in my next slide, after the invitation, is the resources. So, love these resources. Alice, career, learning, and employment information. They're so wonderful. It's through the Alberta government, and they have job profiles, and they also have what the job description generally entitles. So, I'm a registered social worker, and social workers work in many fields from education to hospitals to community, and they would develop a profile, the day to day, the strengths, the communications. what is needed for the job. But beyond that, also the outlook of what is necessary for social workers or for other folks in the field in the future. So, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, they also talk about entry level pay, midpoint, seniority pay. So, I really like this site. Also, about that site, they are connected to scholarships, bursaries, really one stop shop. Highly recommend them. Another great place is the Calgary Public Library. So the library is more than just checking out books or magazines or DVDs and other materials to borrow, but they have audiobooks, they have supports, they have workshops, ongoing basis. Highly recommend them. Such high quality content there. There's also the Alberta Student Aid Center to find out more resources about funds and going back to school. So I like to launch my next poll is about skills and knowledge. So let me just find that poll. All right, found it. Going to publish it.
Okay. And while you're just ready to do that, may I
Mhm.
just remind everyone that you did receive a link to this resource that Margaret's speaking of when you registered. And also we have a link in the question bar that you will be able to find.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Lynn. So I like to know skills and knowledge include, is it day-to-day skills, education and courses, physical and mental health, employment and volunteering, life skills, and social skills? Let me know. And I can see the votes coming in. Wow, lots of folks are selecting day-to-day skills. Absolutely. Pretty even. Pretty even. That's awesome. Education and courses is the next highest. I'll just give it a few more seconds. Wonderful. I'm going to close down the poll. Wonderful. So, yeah, absolutely. Skills and knowledge are all in six areas. Definitely, it's how we function every day. It could be formal, informal education. It's how we take care of ourselves, how we show up in our communities. So, wonderful. Social skills, life skills. Great work, everyone. I'm very proud of you. All right. Going on.
I need to correct myself. You will find the link up in the alerts on the top right hand part of your screen for individuals, not in the question and answer section.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I also see a question that the host has posted. I'm just going to read that out loud because it's a nice break from a very introspective workshop. How would you suggest someone who has a master's degree but has not worked for 15 years because they had to take time off to raise kids, could not get childcare in another country? How should this gap in employment be filled or not stand out? Ooh, that's a really good, deep question. Very multi-prong. My first thought is, and this is my opinion, but I like to invite other folks who are on the call to also air what they would like to suggest here as well. So, getting supports from an employment agency, definitely getting a employment counselor, as well as being connected to education such as this is super important. I myself was connected to an employment counselor. They were wonderful. They helped me with my cover letter, my resume. We did mock interviews. They gave me really constructive feedback, but they got to really know me on a deeper level and my passions, my sense of justice, and so forth. And they were matching me with potential employers. So on one side, they were working with job seekers, such as myself at one point, but the other side, they were working with potential employers looking for talent. So they matched me with employers, and we did interviews, and it was a really direct connection instead of me doing my regular routine, which is applying for postings. There was an introductory period, so I got more interviews quicker in that regard through an employment counselor, through an agency or organization. That's one area, and they can help work with you in terms of the having the education, but that gap of 15 years. That's one area. Another prong I'm thinking about is I'm wondering if volunteerism is another opportunity to develop social assets and skills and knowledge. You never know who you're going to meet when you're volunteering, and you're able to perhaps get connected to a future employer through volunteerism. So those are my top two that I can think about at the top of my mind. But I'm pretty sure tonight, when this is all said and done, something else will come to mind that is probably more brilliant than what I've just like answered right now. So feel free to get connected with me later, and I'm pretty sure we can generate some ideas together. I think I'm a live rally talk back and forth person. Okay, wonderful. Let's move forward. I don't see any questions. If there is, Lynn, prompt me, let me know.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you. The next asset area is finances. So when we think of finances, we think about income and money, and it is one of the areas in the subcategory of finances. So money it can be from paychecks, government benefits, child support, spousal support. It's the money you receive from work, government, and family. But also in finances is access. So accessing bank accounts that you have for everyday transactions and personal savings. A checkings account is quite important for folks. There is this lovely documentary called Spent, Looking for Change. It's for free, it's on YouTube. Highly recommend it. It talks about everyday folks with struggles. And there's some folks that don't have a checkings account because they've been unbanked. And it is a part time job to drive to pay for rent, to drive and pay for, or take transit and pay for utilities and pay for cell phone, pay for internet, and so forth. I think you get my point. Having a checkings account is such a great privilege and time saver because the funds can be withdrawn, also auto deposited as well. Anyways, I can go on. I'm going to keep to point. Access to credit is also very important. You can borrow money from a bank or a credit union. This could be a credit card. It can be overdraft, a line of credit, and mortgage. Also, going with that is having a good credit history. So, a good credit score, your credit shows that you pay your bills on time, and it also can have a score ranging from 300, which is the lowest, 900 is the highest. We want to aim close to the 900 range as possible, but a score above 660 is considered fair or good. Savings and investments is having registered accounts or vehicles that help you get to your end destination, whatever we're trying to achieve together. So this could be a tax-free savings account. I'm going to go down a small rabbit trail. Love the tax-free savings account. It's so good. Love register accounts general. Those register accounts have three components, and I'm probably boiling it down to very basic terms, but they have a savings component, a guaranteed investment certificate component, and then investing. So this is your stocks, your bonds, your mutual funds, and so forth. And there's risks. Obviously, savings, low risk to locked away guaranteed investment certificate, no access for a while unless it's redeemable. So redeemable can be taken out anytime. Non-redeemable, it's there for a period of time. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, depending on what you sign up, and then also the investment side. So the reason why I love a tax-free savings account is the interest that is earned through savings, it goes back into your pocket. You don't get a tax slip, and then you don't have to report it on your taxes. So tax-free savings account, love them so much. There's register education savings plan. So if there's children in the home that are babies or under 16, definitely have a RESP. The government has grants and bonds and matching funds, definitely to be taken advantage of. Register retirement savings plan is RSP, and those are great because they defer taxes to when the money is taken out at a lower income time when we're not working. As well as there could be potentially in the future when we land our jobs, employers might have a RRSP matching. And if they do, find out how much. Some employers may have 5%, and some employers I heard 100% of RRSP matching. Um, I'm a silly person. So if that was the case, I probably would put myself on a rice and bean diet in order to try to really cap and max everything out in the RSP if it's 100% matching rates. We also have registered disability savings plan, and those are for folks with a disability that's prolonged and severe. In order to be eligible for a registered disability savings plan, a person would first go to their family doctor or their medical professionals, qualify for the disability tax credit. That can take a little bit. Once they've qualified, been assessed, then they can go to their bank or credit union and have RDSP open, and it's wonderful. There's matching, it's a 3-to-1 matching rate. It's so fantastic. So definitely savings and investments, love this area. So going back to my point, last two items under finances is having your personal taxes up to date. It's still tax filing season, making sure that you have access to your tax rebates, your benefits, and some areas, for example, is your current notice of assessments done, access to GST tax credit, access to the Canada Child Benefit if applicable to you. Last but not least, having an emergency fund. Having an emergency fund really promotes that independence, that self-reliance, and it's money that's stored away for unexpected expenses in a savings account. It's meant to be used, meant to bridge you over an emergency. So those are the different assets under the finances, and it's more than just money. So I do encourage you in your workbook. This is a checklist to check off what you have and what you receive, and then to think about where would you like to go with your finances. Finances, again, is not the end all be all. If you focus on the other different asset areas, the finances will definitely come along with you. Okay. So again, being a super interactive webinar that I'm trying for this to be, I'm going to launch another poll. I just have to go find it. It is how you manage your money and plan for the future. So those are my keywords. All right. It's true or false. I'm going to publish this. All right. It's been published. And then I'm going to show this on stage. So the question is, true or false, knowing how to manage and plan for the future is just as important as income. And I see the votes are coming in. Very strong true. And I'm just going to give this a few seconds while I refresh myself. Yep, very true. It's not all about the money that we make and have the money coming in. It's also how we manage it, how we have the expenses as well. So very strong, true, wonderful. I cannot sneak anything past anyone here. Everyone's like fully alert. All right, I'm just going to hide the poll and then just go back to the slide deck. So I have not advanced some of my slides. Okay, here we go. So the resources section, I think everyone's getting a feel of how this workshop is panning out. Some resources here highly recommend is the Canada Benefits Finder. You would just go through a short questionnaire and see what benefits you might be eligible for. Love this website. The Financial Consumer Agency of Canada has so many resources about finances, from all that I just spoke about earlier to plus some. They also have videos. They're really well done, plain language. They have tools that are interactive where you can play around with. Paying off a credit card bill in shorter amount of time or longer amount of time. If you save X amount of money every day versus saving periodically, great website. Highly recommend you would take a peek at them. I go there quite frequently, so they're number one fan there. All right, let's keep going forward. Connections. So, connections, as we've mentioned about, is your relationships. It's more than just your personal life, but it also includes work as well as volunteerism. So, being connected to your neighborhood and your community, as well as your values and what is most meaningful for you. So, growing your connections is not just about how many people you know, but the good quality of those relationships, and having a variety of meaningful relationships are healthier and helps you be more resilient when there are challenges in life. So I'd like to invite you to consider for connections, there are three areas. The first one is the circle of love and friendship, and it's exactly what it sounds like. So these are the people that are closest to you, who know you best, and you can rely on for support, and they rely on you as well. So, some examples: family, close friends, caregiver, or a support worker. The next area is circle of participation. So we're kind of branching outwards from deep, meaningful, caring relationships to someone who you can call at 2 a.m. to participation, which is a little bit more distant and more acquaintance based. So these are people who you have worked with or potentially will be working with you. Socialize, you share a common interest or hobby with. So again, these can be friends, family, neighbors, past co-workers, teammates, support worker, people in your cultural or faith community, people in your school, people you volunteer with. That's the circle of participation. Circle of participation, you may see them every day, you may not. It could be periodical. Okay, last circle we're branching out to is the circle of exchange. And these are the people who provide a service to you or them. Yeah, vice versa. You make exchanges with them in the community. So this could be a person, a staff member in a coffee shop, a hairdresser, a teacher, your customers, if you own a business or thinking about it. So those are the three circles of connections. And in order to build our connections, we also have some supports here. So again, I've mentioned volunteerism is very important to me, and I'm sure it is for lots of folks. Um, Lots of volunteer opportunities. Propellus is a great place to look at opportunities and postings. Meetup groups are wonderful, hobby based. I've signed up for food groups, no surprise there, along with Lynn. Maybe we'll meet up one day, Lynn, face to face, have some delicious food. Hiking or other hobby based opportunities can be a really great one. It could be age based. So, for example, women in their 40s, men in their 60s. Those are just a few examples. Other meetup groups can be passions, such as having a dog meetup. It could be, I think you get the idea. Not going to belabor a point there. Another really great place to really get hyper local to your community is the Federation of Calgary Communities. I'm signed up for their newsletter, get periodic reminders about, again, being hyper local to my neighborhood, my community. They have leadership development courses on starting projects that can change. A neighborhood, which I think is so cool and so fun to be part of. All right. So, for this reflection for your connections, um, again, in your workbook, you would put your name in the center of your connections and then work your way out. So, circle of love and friendship, name them, list them, who's there, as well as the circle of participation, then the circle of exchange. Again, reminding you it's not the amount or the number of friendships or participation or exchanges you have, it's the quality. There's folks that, as Lynn has mentioned, I didn't know we were connected, and we have 255 friends in common. That's amazing. Yeah, really impressed with the sleuthing part. Yeah, how I just think about how often do I connect with those folks. So again, quality over quantity is the more important part. Also, identifying here, this is the reflection part, identifying your connection. Are there areas of connection you like to grow, such as maybe I need a family doctor that's close to me, or I would like a romantic partner? Are there also any relationships that are holding you back? And that's the difficult or challenging conversation and reflection. And do you need to let any of the relationships go? If so, which ones to consider? But also in your network, also thinking about, for example, circle of participation, can you bring some people closer to the circle of love and friendship? And how about circle of exchange? So these are fluid circles and they can move. Depending on season, time, life stage, it varies. Um, so I want you to consider those really deep questions in your workbook. And I'm just going to launch a poll as well, just to see where we're at in terms of our connections. Okay, I'm finding it. Okay, publishing. Showing on stage. Okay, so true or false? Quality of relationships are more important than quantity. All right, we have our first voter in, second voter, six jumped really fast. Very strong consensus. Very strong. Yeah, great. Again, I'm very delighted to hear the answers and see the answers. Usually, I see all of you. We would be in a room together. I look each and every one of you in the eyes, and we would have these conversations. So different with a webinar. So, thank you so much for letting me know where we're at. So, I'm just going to hide the poll from the stage, and we're just going to hop on to our sense of self, our next asset area. So, sense of self is a very abstract one, hence the picture of a person and then a little half circle around them. So, it's how we feel about ourselves, it's our personal qualities or traits. And these are one of them that we can't measure. And it makes you super unique and competitive too in the job field too. We're going to go through some examples, and I'm sure you can start to pinpoint those that make you very unique and unique to a job or a role. So um, I'm just going to go through the few sections, just scanning them. So, first one is the qualities for relationships. So, these are traits that help you start and keep good relationships, such as loyalty, kindness, encouraging, and positivity are those really good qualities for relationships. So, just thinking back to the connections, what are some traits you have that helps you keep a really good positive relationship? Maybe it's generosity. That's another example. There's qualities of resilience. So, when things are difficult, these traits help you keep going and staying hopeful and motivated. So, confidence, determined, sense of humor, flexibility are very important and part of the package for resilience. The next area is qualities for success. So these are traits that can help you reach your goals and be successful. So having an open mind, but also being, just as an aside, I digress. Um, Open-minded is such a broad brush stroke term that, yeah, we certainly can be open-minded with a few things, but also that reflective piece of, oh, yeah, that is something I'm not open-minded to. So being able to pinpoint those areas, what are you open-minded to, and what are those areas that you have a fixed mindset on, is very important in that self-recognition. Um, Okay, coming back to qualities for success, being motivated, being a reliable person, but also, again, being able to pinpoint what areas are you reliable with and what areas do you sometimes drop the ball with, because we can't be reliable all the time, and we need to be able to recognize that it isn't 100% of reliability. Organized is another quality for success, and being goal oriented. And again, these have little subcategories underneath. Our values and our beliefs is how you feel about yourself, as well as how you show them off in the community. It's also about how the your work impacts the world and how you interact with the world around you. Examples, I love examples because it really grounds everything. Your faith, your idea of equality, integrity, cooperation, and community. What does that all feel and look like for you? So, as mentioned, sense of self is such a deep rooted area, and there's many nooks and crannies to explore. It's a really great way to discover more about yourself. I just keep thinking about, there's areas that, yeah, we know very well about ourselves, and areas where we're a little blind to, and really uncovering those areas. So I do recommend a few ideas where you can uncover those blind spots, or have those pinpoints. Um, Two are in your workbook, one is not. I'm impromptu telling and sharing this with you. So the first one that's in your workbook is the Calgary Counseling Center, or any counseling services. Um, Counseling is a great way to, again, have more self awareness of where you're at, process emotions, process um, thoughts, clearly label it out, tell your story. So, counseling is a great resource. Another really good one is the Government of Alberta Discover Your Personality Type. And this is on my all time favorite website, Alice. It's in your workbook. It's planning your career, discovering your personality type. You go through a questionnaire, and it's great to get an indicator, get a sense, get a direction. So those are wonderful. So impromptu that I'm sharing with you. I have a fake screen background here. Sorry, you might not be able to see this, so I'm just going to rely very heavily on. Yeah, okay, it's working. So this is a really wonderful book. Very expensive though. I think it's like $50 if I'm not mistaken. It's called Strength Finders, discovering your Clifton strengths. I recently completed this, and I'm going through the book. And oh, it is just amazing to be able to name and be quite accurate. So, one of my top skills is being an achiever, and they break down what the definition of an achiever is, but also what are the setbacks of an achiever. That's one example. Another one is I'm a strong person in ideation. Again, what are the strengths, but what's the setback of people who are strong in ideation? So they give you your top five strengths, and it's so good because now I'm able to articulate myself as well as my stuck points, and where I'm fixed with my mindsets in a very clear way. So again, it opens and broadens that blind spot so that it's less blind and closing that area for me. So highly recommend it. And I'm sure there's many resources very similar to this book out there. This is just one of many that's out there. I see there's a chat, so I'm just going to bring that up. Okay, great. Feel free. Again, I invite you to ask questions along the way, post remarks. I'm happy to hear from you. As I mentioned, just want to make it feel like we're in person. Okay. In your workbook, please do write out your sense of self. So, thinking about the assets that really make you different with your friends, with your family, your coworkers, your neighbors, what they would best say about you. Sometimes this exercise I've gone through a few times, it could be challenging. So, I ask myself, what does my best friends, how would they best describe me? How would my manager best describe me? How about my team? What would they best describe me as? And then that's when I start generating. Okay, I'm reliable. I'm generous. I'm very caring. I'm very detail oriented, such as those. And then that's when those are the strengths that I know are coming forward. So putting yourself in their shoes. So I'm going to, I see Lynn has unmuted herself, so you're welcome to interject, Lynn.
No, I was going to just mention, you mentioned the Alice website, and the section Career Insight is you click on that, and not only is there personality assessments, but there's work value assessments, there's skill assessments. So, if you can't afford to go, or maybe the library has some of those, well, the library does have some of the books. I'm not sure about the Strength Finder. But if you just go on Alice and work your way through those assessments, I think they are very valuable to help people identify um, what they do well, or what they hold as important. Because I think that many times, if we do something well, we assume that everyone can do it, and we don't see that it's kind of a gift we have. And so being able to do, as you're mentioning, Margaret, go through that self-assessment piece, we then understand the value we bring to an employer, to our friends, to our family. And I think that that helps also with our confidence, being able to verbally articulate what it is that we offer. So I'll mute myself again.
That's so beautiful, Lynn, and thank you for the micro break. That's great because I sometimes feel like I'm talking at people and not talking with, so I feel kind of awkward. So, absolutely, definitely agree. Maybe one of your traits is positivity, and positivity. I'm very surprised is very helpful in, again, the resilience piece, having a good outlook, especially on teams. Yeah, something can be pretty serious and their struggles, and yeah, pretty sad, but having that resilience of maybe positivity can help lighten a mood, can see in a different direction, can see the light. Those are intangible qualities that employers are looking for, or what people are attracted to. Again, those are just examples that I'm trying to think and make it real and make it connected. All right. So as you're going through this activity in your workbook, remember to be kind to yourself. There's lots of great things about you. We're taking an inventory, but also pinpointing um, I would say this area, as much as it's like, oh yeah, I do want to grow in this area, totally great. I think it's very worthwhile. You can do it, but also leaning into your strengths. As mentioned, if your strengths are, for example, being reliable, how can you show up in a more reliable way? If you're a very accountable person, how can you show up in a more accountable way? Because it's leaning towards your strengths and just making it super concrete and cemented, that that is your identity. It's synonymous with you. Oh yeah, so and so is super accountable, whether it's XYZ or in their personal life. So Just food for thought. All right. Moving forward, using your assets. So we've talked about the five asset areas, and I'm just going to advance my slide here. Using your assets. Perfect. So, as mentioned, the five asset areas are to help you solve a life challenge. So, again, inviting you to your workbook is solving a problem. So, a problem could be perhaps looking for employment. Maybe there's a hurdle that could be the defined problem. In all the different assets, how can you use those assets to help you solve that dilemma and help you achieve your goal? And everyone has different challenges in different life stages. And money might not be the area that is to help with solving the challenge. I went through a challenge, and all my other assets, except for money, helped me through that situation. Money would not have helped in that situation. For example, grief and loss. If we're grieving and a loss of a loved one, then connection, being connected to community, sense of self, knowing how to take care of myself, those are all very important areas. Money might not solve the issue. Okay, so moving forward through your workbook, I do want to go through this activity for you to consider. So, sorry, I'm just going to pop this forward. Here's an example in your workbook. So, saving for an emergency fund. And I like how this example goes through all the five asset areas. So, this example person is trying to save for emergency fund, and this person has connections. So, a close friend who's very supportive. Sharing the goal out to someone is very helpful because, again, that person will check in, hold that person accountable. Oh, how is the saving for the emergency fund going? Or when they're out, they might just remind each other of that goal. A sense of self is being very disciplined, determined to make the plan and also sticking to it. Basic needs, applying for the fair entry pass, using online banking, perhaps is a way to save on some of the financial costs of banking. Skills and knowledge is tracking their expenses and using something called a stop, look, and listen card to reflect before impulsive potentially purchase is made. And then finances is having access to the benefits that they are eligible for, such as the child benefit and the GST check. So again, this example is listed in your workbook. Examples are great because it's a good starting point to build off of. So when reaching your goal, it takes time, and I really do recommend SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, and timely, and relevant. They're all very important in creating and crafting a very meaningful goal. A goal without timelines or relevancy are not that meaningful. So, SMART goals, back to foundations and back to basics, highly recommend. Um, do you want to consider moving forward and thinking about the future? Um, there is a really great activities, and sometimes I start with dreaming of the future activity as the first activity that we go through. But today we went through the pages of the module, page by page, from start to finish. But dreaming of the activity can come first. It gives a lot of motivation, but sometimes it's a good way to end the workshop as well, which is thinking about your life in 2 years from now. And these are some of the reflection questions that you can think about. You can dream, you can close your eyes, you don't have to write it down, you can draw a picture. There's so many ways to go through this activity. And I do want to share those questions for you to consider in this moment. So I want you to think about, in 2 years, what does your life look like? Does it look the same or does it look different? Where do you live? What does your home look like? What kind of work are you doing? And do you enjoy it? Do you have children? How many? And how old are they? Have you gone back to school or have you taken any courses? Who are you connected to in your community? What does your social life look like? What does your family life look like? What does your love life look like? What goals have you achieved? And what goals are you still working on? What do you do for fun? And what is important to you? Very deep, very reflective questions. Highly recommend to go through that activity, dreaming of your life 2 years from now. And after when you're done this exercise, post it somewhere where you can see it every day on your fridge, in your mirror, on your mirror, wherever you visit the most, have it up so that you can find yourself coming back to the life you do want to be living. All right. So we're near the end of our session for this workshop, and I do want to share a few going forward pieces. So just remember that no matter what is happening in your life right now or in the future, you will be okay. You have many, many assets, as we've seen today in our inventory, that can help you when you're going through a challenging time. Remember to hang up your goals somewhere you will look at it often, and I'm curious, what's the first step you're going to take to work towards your goal? Okay, I do want to transition into a second part. So, everyone, you can shake off your wiggles as a transition and then we'll keep going. So, here at Momentum, I do want to share with you what we do and how we do support people. And I'm just checking my notes and I recognize that I actually have a closing activity after the shakes. It's one more poll and I'm going to publish it and then I'm going to show this on stage. So, as a closing to the assets workshop that we went through, there is very solid research that assets can help people with what areas have a have more stability in their lives, have an outlook that's focused on the future, further develop their potential and their other asset areas, have increased social influence, have a foundation for taking more risks, and provide a better future for their children. So it's a multi selectable question answer, so feel free to select what resonates with you the most. And I see that it's pretty even so far. Definitely assets can have more stability in folks' lives, develop their potential and future assets. Yeah, absolutely. Good work. I'll just give it a few more seconds and then I'll close out the poll. All right. So, yeah, absolutely. Research has found that assets help with all of those areas. So much research has gone into it and resiliency. So, thank you everyone for participating in that final poll. Let's move forward to how momentum can support you. So here at Momentum, I chose this slide because I thought it was being a nice, smooth transition about the assets that we talked about. So in terms of connections, we provide referrals to community programs, encourage participation in decision making, and network participants and build on their networks. Here at Momentum, we're quite relational in all work that we do. So there's folks that volunteer with us for years. Recently, we had a participant who became a homeowner after 10 years of saving for a down payment. So we keep in contact with our participants. Sense of self, we build motivation, self confidence. We help people reduce their stress levels, encourage goal setting, and we use a coach approach here. For basic needs, we help folks increase access to childcare, access to secure housing, connect people to information and supports. And in skills and knowledge, we build employability skills. I mentioned about coaching, keeping programs quite relevant, and we're aware of what's happening out there. We build financial knowledge, develop strategies to generate sustainable income and access to credit. So that's us in a nutshell. But I just want to dive in a little bit deeper because it's very uh, well, it could be abstract. We'll talk more about it. So, Momentum. So, we're a community economic development organization. This is our new building. If you visited us historically, we worked with businesses, individuals, and systems to build an inclusive and local economy and to reduce poverty. Ideally, there would no there wouldn't be poverty, and I could retool, as Lynn has mentioned, to something else. Um, and we exist because we truly, truly believe that everyone has a contribution to make in society. And some folks just don't have the tools to fulfill their potential. And that's where we come in to work with folks. Um, there's a lot of folks, lots of Calgarians, who's living below the poverty line. You can see that stat there. And it takes a lot to get out of poverty. And just to name a few, courage, ingenuity, and perseverance are some of those sense of self that we talked about in assets in order to get out of poverty. Here's our mission and here's our vision. I'll give you a few seconds to read that. So, this is what some of the work we've done in numbers. So in 2021, the number of participants we worked with to save money, find jobs, and start businesses 1,870 participants. We also offer match savings programs, which I'll talk a bit more about in a few seconds, almost $200,000. They're also called individual development accounts, and folks might be interested on the call. 96% of participants have reported having left Momentum with more skills, more knowledge post programming. And 576 is the number of businesses Momentum has worked with just in 2021 alone. All right. So that was the overview. These are the three department areas, super tangible. So I work in the department of manage your money, manage your future. There's my great colleagues with getting a good job and starting a business. And we'll talk about each of the departments in brief. And I would invite folks to find out a bit more. So, Skills is a pre apprenticeship trades training program, and we have different cycles of the program, just depending on teachers, facilitators, as well as the market. So, some examples is heavy duty mechanic, carpentry, um, tech IT. So again, it's on an ongoing rotating basis that we offer. It is full time at Momentum and then off to SATE and their work practicum. It is such a wonderful program for people to, well, transition to a different career or for those who have worked in a similar in a career to be back in their career. So love the program and department a lot. We have Start Your Own Business, also known as the Local Economic Development, for short, LED, and it's for folks who have an idea to start their own business. Um, from walking dogs to consulting to a small cafe. We support folks to write their business plan, but also have a business feasibility. So, does the business work? Who are my competitors? Before they launch their business. So it goes from a very short amount of time, from, for example, 10 to 15 hours, all the way up to 6 months full time. So we have a spectrum of programs programs to address needs as well as address folks' time and commitment as well. So these are folks that have started their business. They are real Calgarians here living in the community. These are not stock photos. All right. So this is the department I'm very proud to have worked in since 2014, and we have a lot of programs, and we just go by two categories. They each have their individual identity and their own names. So we have the asset building program. So this is folks with getting equipped with education, but also a small match funds to help them get unstuck and to their next step. We have the financial capability, which is education and coaching, and they can be individualized or group based. Okay, so asset building, as I mentioned, is also known as individual development accounts, and it is for folks who live on low incomes, and they're for supports to help people, adults and youth, save for household goods such as a bed. So if we are sleeping well, then we show up best for our family, our community, ourselves, and then also for our job search. Sleep is so important. To me, and I'm sure for lots of folks. So, a bed is a very viable asset. And education, so folks can invest the match savings into, again, formal education, such as a certificate, a diploma, a degree, or they can invest the funds into micro certifications, such as first aid, CPR, mental health training certificates, just to name a few. Maybe leadership training or coaching training are another few. Along with education, it could be tests. So there's tests that we can invest the funds into in order to take the person into being licensed or certified. So spend that money there. I talked about a down payment for a home. People can invest the IDA or asset building money into starting or expanding their small business. Tools for work. So when we think of tools for work, we think of a stethoscope for licensed practical nurses or people in the medical field. But we also think of hammers or wrenches for people in the trades. But broadening our horizon to tools for work a little bit more broad, to other tools that people need. So some people work in IT, so they need specialized computers or laptops. That's an example. Another example, gosh, tattoo artists, tattoo equipment. I'm just trying to rack my brain on assets that I've purchased with folks. Hairdresser, scissors, barber chair, very specific hair dryers, estheticians, and their uh, their chair, massage therapist, their massage table. Those are just to name a few. So I think we're getting on a roll there. Um, Lynn, I see that you've unmuted yourself. You're welcome to interject.
Okay. There was just a question as to whether or not there was a cost. How does one go about applying for these programs?
Yeah, thank you so much. I am so glad you interrupted. Sometimes I go off in my own little world. So the services we offer are free to the community. I will bring up our phone number and our email address, as well as our website, so that you can take a look at what we do offer to the community. So we are a nonprofit organization. We're here to help the community and be focused on folks. So I will keep moving forward. Let me see. This is just a breakdown of what match savings look like. So folks would attend classes, and those are the classes on the left-hand side. They would save an amount between $5 to $70 a month. If they save the maximum $70, they get the full benefits of the program. And then this is what we get to spend the funds into. All right. Um, I'm almost there to answer the question, how do I get started? I'm ready to sign up. we have our momentum savings challenge for folks who are low on time and just finding that they just need an easy accessible program. The momentum savings challenge is for you. It is, you save $20 every 2 weeks or $40 a month, and there's a $5 sign up bonus every time you save. There's another bonus, three in a row. um, and then at the end, you get this beautiful bonus of $400 you saved on your own, $100 for momentum. It's gamifying and it is rewarding. It's an app based program. You would just link your bank account. We hold it in trust, and then it's in partnership with Cuber. And then you can cash out at any point in time. A nice lump sum, $500 emergency savings. Highly recommend. It is also on our website to check out. These are our individual programs. So we have ongoing money management Monday nights. We have our Money Matters, who specializes in people with mental health and addictions, and then our on-demand workshop. So again, folks with low time or just are night owls, want to access more about money management, visit our website. We have on-demand workshops that you can take at your own pace, anytime, any day. And we have our money moccasins. So these are for folks who identify as Indigenous. It's led by an Indigenous facilitator. It's very culturally relevant to how we learn about money. Financial coaching is one-to-one sessions with a coach, up to 5 sessions to talk about, again, goal setting. Maybe there's a savings goal, maybe there's a debt repayment goal. The coach is here to walk beside you and to help you get unstuck in building and implementing a plan together. All right. So, how do I get started? You were ready to sign up right away to our programs. So, this is our mainline phone number, 403 272 9323. You can also contact us at info@momentum.org. Visit our website for more programming information, as well as um, information session dates. Um, Information regarding each of the specific programs. I ran through it like a tornado there. And you can also visit us, and that's our address. Mhm. One more slide. Other ways to stay connected besides programming, you can be a member. It's for free. You get newsletters from us about what's happening to events. We really love good food at Momentum and relationship building. So we love to invite you to our events, our EGM annual general meeting, our holiday open house. We have a newsletter and ways to support some of our graduates who have completed programming and have launched their business. Those are some ways that you can get connected with us. Without further ado, I think there's been questions along the way, but if something else has popped into your mind, feel free to, again, ask, and I hope that I can answer. That is me.
Wow, that's a lot of really, really good information. And Momentum is such a very valuable organization that we have in the city. And so I do hope that our participants look into it and take advantage of all the services that they offer. I do have a question. You mentioned the word micro learning, and I wondered if you could explain that. And I'm just wondering, do you think that micro learning is getting a micro learning credential is better than going back to formal post-secondary school?
Yeah, good question, Lynn. And I do invite you to chime in as well, because you have a lot of experience too. I think micro education, micro learning is so fantastic. It is very job specific, it is very focused, and it's for a short amount of time compared to formal education, which can be, for example, certificates, diplomas, degrees, which can range from 1 year, 2 years to 4 years or longer. Micro credentials show that you're interested and you're dedicated and motivated to upskill yourself and be part of your community. I'm just trying to think of some micro credentials off the top of my mind. I think project management can be broad,
Mm.
but can be also a micro credential that a lot of people hold along with their formal education. That's an example that I can think of. What do you think, Lynn?
No, I agree that I think for IT, there's lots of quick little courses you can take that, can add value. Certainly, you kind of mentioned even things like first aid or WMIS or any of those short-term courses that add value to an employer or are necessary. So I think that that is something that if you're unemployed and you can't afford to go back to school full time, perhaps start looking for where can I upskill, gain information. And one of the greatest places that Margaret mentioned is the Calgary Public Library. Go to their digital library and they offer Gale courses, which are set courses, 6-week courses. You start on a certain date, you finish on a certain date, and at the end, you get a certificate. And there's a variety of different topics that you can look into, and I believe you can take 2 a year. And then there's also LinkedIn Learning, which is free if you go through the Calgary Public's Library's website. And if someone here is from Red Deer or Edmonton, I'm sure that they offer the same advantage. And you can go in and take free courses. And those courses, there is no set start. Some of them are 2 hours, some of them are 45 minutes, some of them, take much longer. But it's a way for you to upskill or gain skills and credentials. And, as Margaret mentioned, it is also showing on your resume that you are a learner, that you are participating, that you want to increase your knowledge, which are all valuable assets for you to showcase to an employer.
Mhm.
There is a question. I'm on an open work permit. Can I participate in the Restart program or any of your programs?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Off the top of my head, I'm going to be honest with you, not sure, but please do give us a call because I do want to make sure that we have the right answer for you. Since you're on an open work permit, I just have some questions on what that means, just gathering more information than details. So please do call us, connect with us because I love to just understand your circumstances a bit more, as well as what's the draw to the AWS or the Restart program. So I hope you connect with us. Um, and then, Lynn, just going back to your point earlier of micro credentials and continuous learning, I just think about open universities.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I am so impressed from where I used to be in, yeah, having to pay traditionally for education. Now, with your search engine, you can just type in open universities and you can access courses such as, oh my gosh, just trying to think, the University of Alberta has an Indigenous course,
yes.
and it's fantastic. It's for free. You can pay for the certificate, but I had a coworker who I was really impressed. She's taken the whole training. She didn't pay for the certificate, but just took out such good high quality information
Yes.
out of just that workshop, and she's able to speak and understand and yeah, just be informed. So yeah, open universities, fantastic.
So true, and I've actually taken that course. It's offered through Coursera, but it is free because the University of Alberta offers it, and lots of different topics. And that's the thing. So even if you're not even looking for work related, there's lots of personal development, or if you're in photography or into any of those, there's no reason not to increase your skill or your knowledge in areas. Um, so yes, so an open work permit is someone who doesn't, they're not a PR, they're not a Canadian citizen, they're here and they're allowed to work. So I think the idea is still get in touch with Momentum and let them have a discussion with you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I do really want to have the answer, but I don't have the answer as I don't work in the pre-apprenticeship trades training department. But I would love for you to contact us, and then we'll have the right answer. And thank you so much for explaining what a open work permit and PR or the citizenship means. Thank you.
Okay. So another question, is there a guide on how much time I should be spending trying to get back into the workforce? You know, is it an hour, a week, 10 hours? What should I be doing in order to get ready for this journey?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Very individualized. For me, my opinion is when I was looking for work, made it my job to look for work. So I had my set schedule. So woke up, for example, at 8 o'clock. 8:30 was like applying for jobs, doing informational interviews, doing research on companies, and I had binders full of printed off job descriptions and doing tailored resumes. So it was literally my job from 8:30 to 4:30, Monday to Friday, because I wanted to work full time. So I wanted to practice and get ready for being in the work field. For some folks who's maybe different, can tailor what I have mentioned or suggested, can be maybe a Monday to Thursday, but I took it very seriously as my job. I also try to, on top of that, look for volunteer opportunities that were connected to what I wanted to do in order to gain skills. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. And it took me a while to find my employment. It took probably longer than 3 months, and to be honest, possibly even 5 to 6 months, in order to find meaningful, purposeful employment that I wanted to do.
Well, I certainly think that that is the norm. You know, things are kind of moving right now in the labor market, and they're saying that this is more of an employee or job seeker market than it is an employer market. One of the challenges, though, is there might be a lot of open positions, but do you have the credentials or the experience or education required for those? So I think that working with an employment or a career coach, as Margaret mentioned earlier, can be of great value, which kind of leads me into the next question. Um, where do you refer people, Margaret, who are looking for employment support or advice? Do you actually have employment counselors as part of Momentum's staffing?
Yeah, great question. I'll answer that backwards. So for supports, we have our facilitators. Our facilitators, depending on I guess the individual that we're working with, we do refer to specialists, which are out in the community. We love the Alberta government, their resume writing course, their LinkedIn course, so wonderful. I've taken it myself. They also have Follow Us Fridays, employment newsletter, and then there's organizations in the community that focuses on mock interviews as well as connecting to job fairs, as well as they have potential employers looking for talent. So they look for those persons, which are so, so important. So really grateful for what they truly do. Um, I'm going to leave it there. I feel like I could go
Okay.
on.
Well, I was just going to mention there are three government-funded agencies that people can go to. So there's Prospect Now, um, is one agency that the government pays for you to be able to go and talk and work with a career coach. There's Career Hub, which is up in the Northwest, and there's MCG, which is down south. And they also have offices outside of the city for individuals. So all of these resources are free, and really we need support. So Margaret, when we talked about that, your support, your connections, um, those are the exchange areas. That's where you can go and get support with your job search. And then of course there's the employment agencies that you can go to and see whether or not there are any positions that might be a good fit for what you're looking for.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think the final question is, should I really reach out to all of my connections to find a job? Won't it look like I'm bothering them, especially if they're people that are connected to my industry?
Yeah, really great question. I think the intention is genuine to get reconnected, and it doesn't have to be a hard ask. It could be a soft ask as well, to get connected, hear what they're doing, collect information, and maybe nothing happens. It doesn't have to say, "Hi, Lynn, it's Margaret. I'm looking for employment." It could be, "Hey, how's it going? Cool. How's work?" And then if they ask about you, they're genuine, then you're welcome to share. Yes, you're coming in with the agenda, but not necessarily a hard ask like, Lynn, help me find a job, or can you refer me? It could be maybe develop or redevelop that connection, that relationship that's genuine and authentic, then maybe further along than have the ask. I also want to circle back to an earlier point. I was just thinking about job postings. Job postings, read through it and see where you meet the criteria and where you can develop skills. So maybe some places are asking for, I don't know, Microsoft, Excel, PowerPoint expertise. And maybe that's a place you want to hone in your skills at the Calgary Public Library to learn more about those areas, because then you can show up at a workplace going, yep, recently do have learned about this and can speak about it, can use it. Maybe it's more skills with Microsoft Teams or Zoom. It's great to show up in a place of comfort at an employment agency.
Oh, really, really great advice. So I said one last question. I lied. One more last question. So is there one asset area that you suggest job seekers really focus on as their first
Mhm.
area?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And I say dig deep, look in, reflect. All the asset areas are fantastic. I definitely won't say finances should be the first area. The other four areas could be first, such as basic needs. So, having stable housing, good quality food, good quality sleep can be a first point for some folks. Other folks can be connections, growing and developing those. Other folks, it might be how they feel about themselves and their
Yeah.
confidence and taking care of themselves mentally and physically. So it's all very personalized and individualized. The right answers are the four assets. I, it depends on the field, because if a person is applying for a certain field and credit reports have to be shared with the employer, credit checks, then yeah, definitely focusing on the financial assets makes sense in order to obtain the job that you want to be working in. Yeah, so I keep it up to the individual. Financial coaching is a great area at Momentum that can help you hone in to which asset area you can be developing in order to reach your goals.
Great, good answer. So really thinking about yourself and where you are and what you need. Thank you so much, Margaret. I've really enjoyed this presentation and I've learned a lot. And that's always a good thing, especially on a Wednesday or a hump day. So I want to thank you very much and thank Momentum for allowing you to be here. It's been so informative. And a reminder that if you do need to, if you haven't been able to download or haven't downloaded the handout that Margaret's been using, you can find it in both the alerts and now you can find it in the question and answer area. So it sounds like it will be something that you take away and you work on over a period of time and really think about it. And you can share it with your friends and family, and they might also gain benefit from that. So in terms of resources, once again, a reminder that Talent Pool has that resource list that you can find at the talentpooljobfair.com. They've got all kinds of resources listed there that might be of great value to you. We are also going to be having our next event on June 8th. Remember, it's going to be a panel of HR experts. So if you have questions or you have areas that you feel you need information on, you want clarification about, let us know in advance if you want, or bring them to the event. And once again, you just type them in and we will ask the panelist those questions. The next job fair is May 18th. And registration is open. You can go to talentpooljobfair.com and check that out. I think it's always beneficial to go in early, find out who's going to be there, plan your visit, who do you really need to speak to, make your little career pitch, get it ready so that you come off as being very professional and prepared. Don't forget to participate in the survey at the end of this. Some lucky winner is going to have that Amazon truck come up to the house and drop off a parcel. You'll win a $50, I say $50, I have no idea how much it is. You're going to win a gift certificate. Maybe they'll make me pay for it now that I've said that anyway. But please fill out the survey. We really do want to get feedback from you. And, of course, we can't do this without the Alberta government and the government of Canada, who are funders and supporters of this event. And certainly Compound XP that bring all of this technology together and make it happen. And Brandon and Chris and all of the talent pool people behind the scenes that are doing all of the work to bring it together. And I always come away from these events with some increased knowledge, some additional food for thought. And so I hope you do also. So thanks for attending. I hope that we're getting these April showers pretty soon so that we get the May flowers. I really say waking up yesterday to that snow was a bit, I was being a negative Nelly thinking, oh no, not again. My dog loved it, but who cares about the dog? Anyway, have a good day. I hope your week goes well. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in June.